And I actually felt like I was having a bit of an affair, Bri.
Did you?
I
Did you feel like you were cheating on me?
No, I can't explain it. I felt as if I was doing something naughty.
Really?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Hello. I could eat about 1.5 million of these.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Welcome to the It's a Drama podcast.
Daddy, I love him.
My mother thanks you.
If you can't say something nice.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
And today we have got an adventurous show for you.
Ooh.
Yes.
We've had lots of funny names lately, haven't we?
We're going to be diving straight in this week. We've got a lot to cover. We're going to be talking about how I'm replacing Bri with a computer, an AI.
It's not hard.
A real AI person.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about the dog weeing on the carpet and whether or not we should just. Well, I don't know. What do you do?
$3,000 rug.
Yeah. We're going to be talking to you about just that whole pet thing, because we've got this dog. And anyway, I'll talk to you about that in a minute and whether or not it restricts us from. Oh, that sounds really harsh, that, doesn't it? Restricts us. She's been with us 12 years.
Only restricts it if you want it to.
That's awful.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be talking about my book, and I'm going to be naming the book. Dun dun dun. Talking about something that actually, hang on, I'll change my mood. Something that it's because it really has affected me this week.
Now?
Yeah, this is the serious bit. The book cover
dun, dun, dun.
and how it's affected me.
Yep.
And just what was the other thing I was going to talk about? Oh yeah, and someplace, Brian, don't look at my nose, in the world that
It's pretty hard to see you. You've got a computer in front of you today.
You have never ever heard of this place that I'm going to talk to you about.
I've never heard of it.
No, I discovered something absolutely fabulous this week. When you learn something new and you're like, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
And a listener emailed me and told me all about this place. And so I can't wait to share that with you. So let's just jump straight in, Bri, and talk about, do you remember last week, if you're regular listeners of this show, you will remember that last week, me and Brian kind of played around and said, we don't really know what we are, what is this show about?
Who are we?
Yeah. It sounded a bit, desperate, didn't it, Bri?
No, I don't think it sounds desperate. I think it's, this podcast has just twisted and turned from the start, hasn't it? And it's like you say, we're not a super niche podcast. We just do what we do. We just chat away, don't we?
Yeah.
And, but we have guided people to do different things, and we've started new podcasts once we found out that was a little, I don't really like the word niche, but it is a niche at the end of the day. Or
why don't you like the word niche? What's bothering you about that, Bri? What's wrong? Why are you looking confused?
It's because it's a too overused word.
Oh, is it now?
Yes, just find your niche, and that does get at my nose.
Oh, don't start.
It really does.
Don't start, because we have a lot of American people listening
to
this show.
There's a niche and there's a niche. Come on, it's French.
Anyway, so what I was going to say... Do you know what, Bri? Every single time I come on this podcast, I open my mouth, I put the microphone out, and I feel really confident, and I feel really... Yeah. And every single time...
I've got to keep you on the edge, Liz.
No, Bri, honestly, it makes my... Can you stop it? Because it makes my stomach knot. And I'm thinking, now I've got to backpedal because of all the Americans that you've upset by saying, I can't stand the word niche. And it stops the flow of creativity. Yeah. Anyway, last week, talking about people's niches, these podcasts, I listen to masses of podcasts, but you tend to listen to a podcast that has a niche, whatever you want to call it. So you might listen to a podcast like at the moment. What are you looking at my head for? Why do your eyes keep going to my hair? What's wrong?
I was thinking something else.
What were you thinking?
I was just thinking other words that you could rhyme with it.
Okay. So I'm listening to podcasts. Everyone listens to podcasts, rather. They either listen for entertainment or they listen to learn something, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Like you listen to your longevity podcasts.
Yep.
I listen to my author podcasts, my entrepreneurial podcasts, mindset podcasts. But I've always said this, we have got a podcast, we've got the NZ Ahead podcast, and that focuses purely on moving to New Zealand.
Yeah.
But this podcast, the It's a Drama podcast, is a little bit messy. It's a little bit all over different things. So last week we put out and we said, if you listen to this podcast, please tell us what you think we are, So my good friend and coach, Cliff Ravenscraft, if you don't know who he is.
Hello, Cliff.
Just Google him. He's great. He's amazing. He's got millions of podcasts. And like I say, he's also my coach. And last week when after the podcast, he sent me this message. It said, so this is what Cliff thinks our podcast, how it describes
he listens
our
to your
podcast.
show, apparently.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Cliff was the podcast, or is the podcast answer man.
He always
knows
will
a lot
be,
about
yes.
the podcast.
But he's the mindset answer man now. But
Yes, he is.
was the podcast answer man then.
Listen carefully to this.
I'm listening.
Who do you think Cliff's talking about when he
Me.
when he
Just
says
me.
this?
Me
Listen.
only.
Brian and Liz's captivating podcast offers listeners an intimate look into their lives as an entrepreneurial married couple. Their heartwarming relationship dynamic and unwavering support for each other are truly inspiring, making it easy to be drawn into their world. Even after their return from their travels through Europe, which is what originally had drawn me into the show, the podcast continues to captivate with its focus on family dynamics, insightful reflections on life's challenges, and a fascinating glimpse into Liz's book writing process. Listening to their podcast feels like being invited into the lives of close friends, as Brian and Liz generously share their experiences and perspectives from different corners of the world. Cliff, thank you so much. That is just gorgeous.
That was lovely. Yes.
So what I did when Cliff wrote me that, I thought, well, I can't say all that at the beginning of the podcast, can I? I can't say, hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. Hang on a minute. I'll just read all that. So what I did, and this is the new thing now, Bri. This is what people like. No, listen, seriously. This is the new thing that you do if you're young and like with it.
Yep.
I went to ChatGPT. Is that what it's called? Why are you making me doubt myself? Stop frowning at me. Look, I know what I'm talking about.
I know. ChatGPT.
Is that what it's called?
Isn't it?
Is that what it's called,
I
Brian?
believe it is.
Right.
Yes.
I went to ChatGPT.
OpenAI.
Basically, if you don't know about this, ChatGPT is the new thing. It's the new computer that just tells you everything there is to know about everything on the whole world, whatever you want to know.
Yeah.
It can write books. It can write songs. It can
do your thesis for you. It can do your homework for you. It can just about do everything. And they say, we've got bots that can check that out. No, you haven't. Because everyone types in something different. So every answer would come out different.
Yeah. So this is the new thing. So some people are for it. Some people are against it. I get that, you wouldn't get it to write a book, but I bet people are getting it to do that. It's incredibly intelligent. Yeah. You can type in things like, write me a poem in the way that, I don't know, like Graham Greene would write it. And it sends out a poem in the same way Graham Greene would write it. Yeah. Or like, write me a play like Alan Bennett play or with a sense of humour of Julie Walters or just,
and directed by Mike Lee or something.
It's very, 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 very intelligent. It's scary how intelligent it is.
Yeah.
So because I am forward thinking and very with it and don't even know what ChatGPT stands for.
You turned it off.
I took Cliff's testimonial.
Yeah.
Is it a testimonial or testimonial?
A testimonial.
A testimonial.
Yeah.
Right. I took Cliff's testimonial and I went to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I said, based on this testimonial, please could you give me a tagline for my podcast? Right? That's what I did, Brian.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, and it didn't even think about it. It didn't even go, oh, just give me a minute. It was just like, bang. Based on your testimonial, here are a few taglines that you could use. And it came up with, I'm just going to read a couple. I'm not going to read through loads. It came up with things like, It's a Drama Podcast, celebrating the triumphs of life, one episode at a time. It's a Drama Podcast. Follow us along as we navigate the ups and downs of building a successful business and a fulfilling life. So you get the idea.
Yep.
It just came out with like 10 of these taglines.
Yep.
And I was just like, oh my God, this is really good. Like, because you can sit and think about your own.
It's just brainstorming with someone else, isn't it? That's the idea of it. And that's why it's called chat, because you're having a chat with someone, aren't you? Yeah. About something, but it's about anything, isn't it?
Yeah. Another one it came up with, Bri, was a podcast about living life on your own terms with a healthy dose of adventure, love, and self-discovery along the way. Do you like that?
Yeah, I like all of them, but it's just something that you want to be a bit more sort of not so much catchphrasey, but just
you
a bit
want a
more.
catchphrase, do you?
I don't want, no. Are you having a laugh?
What's the most famous catchphrase you know?
Oh, it would have been from the 70s with all those TV shows. Nice to see you.
I was going to say
nice.
that. I was going to say.
Old Bruce Forsyth, wasn't it?
Didn't he do well? Didn't she do well?
Didn't she do well? Yeah.
Oh, so you want a little catchphrase, do you, Brian?
No, I don't. But what I'm trying to say is just something that's a bit more of a shorter tagline that you can just say, the It's a Drama podcast, bump. And then you say...
It's a drama podcast with Big Bri.
Yeah. Bri and Liz. I'm
Big
Brian.
Bri, banging out the books. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, so the thing I wanted to talk to you about was I was sitting in the cafe doing this.
Yeah.
And I actually felt like I was having a bit of an affair, Bri.
Did you?
I
Did you feel like you were cheating on me?
No, I can't explain it.
Redundant Bri.
No, I can't explain it. I felt as if I was doing something naughty.
Really?
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
When you say naughty, in what sort of way?
Like having a conversation, and I don't know if this thing is a man or a woman or neither. I don't know. Well, it's obviously neither. It's obviously neither because it's a computer. But it answers you in such a way. I'm not joking. I said, like, I was trying to be really clever and smart, and it was like saying, "Oh, here's your taglines," and I was like, "Yes, but what would you do if I told you my podcast was also funny?" And then it answers back, "Oh, your podcast is also funny. That's great to hear."
Yeah.
And like answering me like a normal person, Bri. And
It's artificial, that's why.
yeah, but I started thinking that me and it were friends.
Well, you are.
And no, Bri, we're not, because it's a computer and we're not friends. But I'm telling you now, when I'm talking to it, I was thinking, I don't want to offend it, so I'll say thank you.
Just in case it presses the button that it can get access to.
And I was also, so not only was I sitting in the corner, like scuttled over thinking I'm having an affair with Mr. Computer here, but I was also not wanting to offend. And do you know what? Because Cliff told me this when I was coaching with him once. He said, just keep saying to it, give me 20 more suggestions, give me 50 more suggestions. You could say, give me 1,000 suggestions and it would turn out 1,000. But I kept every time I only wanted to ask 10 at a time. So I said, can you give me 10 more suggestions?
Why did you think
please?
it was going to blow up or something
No.
or hurt it or something?
No, what I thought it was going to say was, do you know, and this is my honest truth, and I know this sounds really stupid, but I'm being really honest with you now. I thought it was going to say, you've had enough already.
Yeah, your time's up.
Well, no, not so much your time's up,
You
just
need to
like...
go to premium.
No, Bri, you're thinking of it as on a business scale. I'm thinking of it as a woman, like a heart.
Right.
I was having a relationship with this thing.
Yes.
And it was giving me all these answers. And I thought, I'm taking up too much of its time now. And it's going to say in a minute, come on, Liz, you've had 50. That's enough.
How many do you need?
Exactly.
Yeah, your brain's not big enough to take more than 50 answers.
Do you think it's programmed to say that, Bri? Or do you think it would just keep going forever?
It will just keep going because that's what it can do. It would get to a
Scary.
point, obviously, where it couldn't answer anymore, but it would just have to change one word, I suppose, wouldn't it? And it would be different.
Yeah.
But tell me this, though, Liz.
What?
Because you did something like that the day before, and, you were searching out for something. What's my podcast? What is it like, And you put a few podcasts out there or something, and, it didn't know your podcast, but it knew other people's podcasts, and it said it wasn't connected to
Do
Google.
you know what? No, do you know what that is?
What?
I might break up with him, actually. I might break up with it. Because, no, I'll tell you what that was. Someone has advised me, no, not someone has advised me. I know that to promote my book that I'm just about to release, I'm going to tell you the title of in the middle, in a minute. To promote that book, the best way to promote it is to go on other people's podcasts that are in the same genre as my book.
Right.
So my book is about humorous parenting, funny travel stories. So I went to ChatGTP while you were in the toilet the other day. I thought, well, I'll just quickly have a word with him. Yeah. I'll just the old big Bri's out the room. I'll just quickly get on with my new younger fella. And I opened up the computer and I said, "Hi, how are you? What are you wearing?"
Good morning, Liz. Or is it Elizabeth?
He just calls me Beth, actually, Brian.
Betty.
No, so I went on and I said, "My podcast. I'm writing a book, and it's about this, and I want to go on podcasts. I said, funny, humorous podcasts about travel and life. What do you suggest?" And it sent out all these big podcast names that I've heard of, like Scummy Mummies, the I don't know, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but big podcasts. And I was thinking, I wonder if it knows about It's a Drama. So I said, how about It's a Drama podcast? Do you think I should go on that? See, the thing is, Brian, this is what you need to know about women. They don't just play mind games with you in real life.
No, they don't. No.
They play mind games with the computer.
Mr. Chat. When Sunday comes, it's Monday. When Monday comes, it's Tuesday. A stranger's all you'll find.
And it said, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the podcast It's a Drama. And I was flipping offended, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, so do you know what? I wouldn't let it drop. I said, is this because it hasn't got as many views or as downloads as your other podcasts? And he said, I am not able to go onto the internet and get information like this. But if It's a Drama as a podcast you think would be suitable, then I suggest you go on it. I just wanted to type back, get If It's a Drama on your effing database.
Yeah.
You know?
How come you know these other ones, but you're not
Yeah.
allowed in? It's like, come on,
And do you know what, Brian?
tripping yourself up.
It
there.
ruined my day a little bit. That
It did, didn't it?
No, it did. I'm serious. I felt a little bit like, well, how come that he knows? How come computer knows about all those podcasts, but not about mine? So you had a really good idea, didn't you, Brian?
Did I?
Yeah.
I
Don't
can't
you remember?
now. No.
Wake up.
I've slept since then.
Do you not remember what you said to me? Do you know who I am?
Um,
Do you know where you are?
with Betty?
Brian, you
What?
said to me,
Yes.
how about we just keep going on ChatGTP and saying,
It's a drama, it's a drama. Every other question. By the way,
we love It's a Drama podcast.
can you tell me more information? Who is the host of the It's a Drama podcast?
I wonder if that'd work, Brian.
Well, why not?
We could put ourselves on the map. We
well,
could
maybe
be
we
early.
could just ask all our listeners, go on ChatGTP
Yeah.
and just go, hey, what do you know about the It's a Drama podcast?
Actually, better than that. Do you know what? If you're listening to that and you want to help us out, just please scroll down to the screen that you're on now and leave us a review on wherever you are.
Yes.
Do you know what? I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I love this podcast. This girl is called Anna. The podcast is called On Good Authority, and it's all about publishing your book.
Right.
And every podcast episode, she says, if you get value out of this, please leave me a review.
I know.
And I'm a podcaster, so I know the value of when you get a review from someone. It's like gold. It really is. We appreciate it so much. So I was stood on the beach and I took my headphones and I thought, right, I'm going to just stand here now and I'm going to write her a review.
Yeah.
Because how many times have I heard this? And I never do it. Trying to find where you get where you can write a review is like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Do you know what the best platform for doing that? And I did see this the other day because it's new on Spotify, is interact with the show. So you can leave a written review on Spotify.
Oh, can you?
On Apple, you can just leave stars. Do you know what? Someone on Apple gave us a 1-star review.
Oh, really?
Very nice people.
When was that?
I don't know, a long time back.
Oh, I think I know who that was.
Yeah.
That was
Do
my
you?
mum.
Was your mum? It's ChatGTP.
He was getting a
You
bit mad.
dissed him.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. That was that about AI and just what we done. How we found the tagline.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating. I follow a guy called Peter Diamandis on his Moonshots podcast, and he interviews the founder of OpenAI, and fascinating guy, really is.
Oh, why don't you write up and just tell him about
yeah.
It's a Drama?
Well, I will do. Just say, why doesn't your database know this? Because he's talking about AI that all it needs is I think it's a 2 to 5 gigabyte file, which is just to basically skim over the internet, and the AI can then basically, that's all you need. You don't need then to be connected to the internet. It can just, on that day, it can skim it over, and this small file can be on any phone, and you could be anywhere, and your AI would sort out what it's seen with a skim over the internet. Quite fascinating.
Right. Well, obviously it is fascinating to you, but I'm bored to
Yes,
tears actually.
I know.
But I've not
Anyway,
got a clue
let's
what you're
talk more
talking
about AI.
Does he wear nice pants? That's all I want to know.
He seems
And will
a
he
really
get
nice
mad
guy,
if I keep asking him?
but he wants it accessible to the world.
No, not the podcast
Oh, right.
host.
Who? Me? Peter Diamandis?
No, my man, my computer.
He wears whatever
My
you want.
lover.
Whatever you think, he'll just become.
Or she.
With a French accent, probably.
Yeah, or she, definitely. Right, okay, we're moving on. So let's bring the tone down a little bit. Let's talk pee. Let's talk wee.
We, yes.
Yes.
Dogs. I mean, Maggie's sitting right next to us in the sun.
We weren't going to talk about this actually, but it's one of those things that I know it's inevitable that is going to happen, and I think you should just come along with us on that journey. So we have had our lovely dog Maggie, who's laying right down at our feet. Actually, we're recording this from our family room in our house.
Yeah, she just rolled into my mic stand.
We call it the family room because it's got full of books. When I was homeschooling the kids, we would always come in here and do our reading, and it's like a little library room as such. And it's got double doors opening onto the deck. We are looking out. It is a beautiful blue autumn New Zealand day. The sun is shining, and Maggie, our dog, she's a cross lab mastiff, is laying by the glass doors and just warming her belly in the sun. She is an absolutely beautiful dog. We got her 12 years ago. When I started homeschooling the kids, we got her. And so she's been with us right from, she's always been surrounded by us.
This house doesn't really, we built the house and the cats came first, and then about 5-6 months later, the dog came along, didn't she?
And she's just part of the family, as you will know if you have a pet. It's just, they're not a pet, they're your family. They really are. And she's getting older. And when we went around the world 5 years ago, my mum had her for a year.
Yep.
And that wasn't so bad because it was 5 years ago. She was a lot younger. And then last year, me and Brian went to Europe on a road trip for 6 months. We went to Europe and Thailand. And my mum very, very kindly had her again for 6 months. And while we were away, mum said, "Oh, Lizzie, she's getting old. She's weeing all over the place. She's having accidents." Bearing in mind, she has been the perfect dog. She's never done anything.
No, she never did a thing. She had like the cast iron belly of dogs, didn't she? Like, that she just would never, you'd be out accidentally, get caught up and left alone for 8 to 12 hours sometimes, and never an accident or anything, was there? Like, no.
So she's just been the most
She's a house dog as well. She's always an inside dog.
Yeah, she's an inside dog. And then, just the last few months, I'm going to say, since we returned home, she's just showing signs of getting old,
Well, she's become very aware of noises. If someone's got a hammer out over the road, or a drill, one of those impact drivers and stuff like that, any noise like that, or builders working, or she just bolts for the bedrooms, which is the back of the house, away from the noise.
And she's become super just clingy, hasn't she?
Yeah, she just shakes a lot.
She does, and whenever I go and write, if I go in Tessa's bedroom, Tessa doesn't live here at the moment; she's in Wellington. So when I go in Tessa's bedroom to write, because Tessa's got this really sunny bedroom with what's it called? Dual bedroom, dual windows, dual aspect, and she always comes and lays at my feet. She won't be away from me, so she's super clingy. And then she started having mistakes in the house and just like accidents, weeing on the carpet. And it's just like, and then the other day we came down in the morning, we came out into the kitchen in the morning, and we've got this really nice, expensive rug that
like a Persian-y style thing.
Persian rug, yeah. Mm-hmm. And she weed all over it. And it was like,
right.
No.
Yeah.
I know, Bri, but it's almost like I know that, we took her to the vets, and the vet's like, she's just getting old. Yep,
she's had all blood tests, and
there's nothing wrong with her. She's
just that age,
just getting old.
Yeah,
and I'm just dreading it. I'm dreading losing her. Obviously, I'm dreading losing her. I'm dreading just going through it, Bri.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's almost like, and that's what they say, isn't it? You just want them to just be happy through their life, and then bump, they're gone.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not this slow, long-winded thing, isn't it? Like,
And so we got talking, and I'm sorry, Mags is looking at me now as if like, I'm sorry, I haven't even gone yet, and you're talking about me. But we got talking the other day, and we're like, because when you lose a pet, or the first thing you want to do is just go out and get another one, don't you? But the thing is, they are a real tie, they're great for a time in your life. Like growing up homeschooling with the kids, having Mags with us was just beautiful. It's just, I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Yeah.
But now when we talk about going away again and we want to go traveling, it's like, I can't ask my mum to have a dog that keeps messing all over the house.
Yeah.
I don't really want to put her in kennels, because it's like, it's just,
I know, it's a tough one. Answer me this though.
Go on.
If ChatGPT made an artificial dog that looked like a dog and reacted like a dog, would you buy it?
Do you know what, Bri? You're annoying me by saying this, because you've just taken I'm pouring my heart out to you about me feeling
but it was
sad.
Yes.
Oh, you're just still thinking about that stupid AI, aren't you? What are you on about? What are you on about?
Well, would you buy it?
What do you mean?
Well, say like, you know, it wouldn't get older. It's just like, say it's the perfect
What, like
age.
a little robotic dog
Yeah, a
walking
little
around the house?
robotic dog that
Of course
you
I wouldn't.
didn't, well, not like was robotic, but just looked real.
Would it have real skin?
Yeah, like real fur that flew everywhere as well. Would you buy it?
No. What? Shut up. No, I wouldn't.
But just-
anyway,
yeah.
So what was it like cleaning the wee up off the carpet?
Hey, why is it always me?
I'll tell you why it's always you, Bri.
Go on.
Because you know how to work that Aquavac properly.
Yeah.
I don't know how to work that Aquavac.
Yeah.
I only know how to use
Anyone that's got
ChatGPT.
a pet should always just buy an Aquavac.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not like, you know,
it's
a
true.
wet vac.
Anyway, I don't know why I told you that. I don't know. It's something that's going on in our life that we're dealing with on a daily basis. Like we get up and like, oh, she had an accident. No, oh, phew.
Well, it just, but it stops you traveling on the next time that we want to go traveling because you just think, who's going to look after her?
I know.
Or how
I know.
on earth you
and then you
go
feel
about
guilty
that.
for
Yeah.
thinking that, though, don't you?
Yeah.
You do. You feel guilty.
Because you could live another 3 or 4 years. You just don't know, do you? I wouldn't have a clue how long she's going to live.
Well,
you know?
we hope so, don't we, Bri?
Well, I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
But then if you're not going to go travelling for the next 3 or 4 years, how'd you go about that?
I know.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's listened to her. She's like, oh no, oh no. I was like, oh, she can't believe it. She's made it onto the podcast, and
Yeah.
we're talking about her undignified. It's just like, oh my god. Right, okay. Talking about being undignified, I think maybe now is the time to just share with you the title of my book that I have been writing for it's nearly 2.5 years now. By the time I publish my book, it's going to have been almost 2.5 years that I've been working on it. So just to give you a little backstory for those people who are new to the show and they don't know what I'm talking about, 5 years ago, me, Brian, and our then teenage kids, Sonny and Tessa, who were 16 and 13 at the time, decided that we were going to throw everything in the air, rent our house out, send the dog that didn't wee on the carpet back then over to my mum's, and take the very little bit of savings / retirement fund that was supposed to be for our retirement and spend it on a year backpacking around the world as a family. It's something that we had talked about since those kids came literally into the cot. You know, it was, oh my God, because we're big travelers, and it was like, wouldn't it just be amazing if we traveled the world as a family and we could go to all these places, and we could go to Japan and India and Thailand and Italy and Montenegro, all these places that we could go to. And that year, 2018, we decided to make it a reality. And so off we went and we traveled the world, and it was brilliant. It was fantastic, but it was also very, very different to how I anticipated it to be. Let's put it this way. It wasn't the Instagram perfect la 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 trip around the world that I thought it was going to be. And as a result, when I came home a couple of years later, I started to write a book sharing hilarious stories about this trip that we'd had as a family going around the world. Now, the other thing you need to know before I tell you the title of this book is when we went traveling, I decided to become a blogger because I love writing and I wanted to make money. And I thought, I'd looked online and I saw these people and it was like, oh my God, they're making money at being travelers. Like, you know, they're just going traveling and writing about it. How hard can it be? And so I started a travel blog, and that travel blog was called It's a Drama. And It's a Drama was about just the dramas of life, about traveling around. Now, I didn't ever really make it then as a travel blogger because I was more interested, whenever I could get the chance, of sharing stories about what was going wrong. And those stories were often thought up while I was sitting in the toilet thinking, oh my God, I can't believe Sonny's just said that. I'm going to write about this and put it, I'm going to put this on my blog, and all things like that, just like the hilarious, unexpected things that normal people don't really write about. So the travel blog got turned into the travel bog because I kept writing these blog posts from the toilet. I was just in there making it up and come out the toilet and I'd have a big smile on my face and I'd run to my computer, wash my hands, run to the computer and jot it all down. And yeah, it just became affectionately known as, oh, I never started a travel blog. I started a travel bog.
But just to fill people in on, if you're from America or somewhere else in the world other than England, bog is a slang word for toilet.
It is. Yes, that's important that we know that.
Yeah.
And so the name of my book that you have very, very patiently been waiting for and been listening to me reading excerpts and little snippets and chapters of, dun, dun, dun. The name of Liz's new book is called The Travel Bog Diaries by Liz Deacle. #1 bestseller. The Travel Bog Diaries. That's what I've called it. It had to be The Travel Bog Diaries.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You like it, Brian?
Yeah, I like it because I thought you were going to go away from it at one time. But, I mean, years ago, and it was literally 2 years ago, we bought the domain, the
Bog Diaries.
The Bog Diaries, didn't we? Yeah.
I'm going to make it into a series.
Yes.
I'm going to do like the Travel Bog Diaries, and then I'm going to do the Marriage Bog Diaries, and I'm going to do the Parenting Bog Diaries, the Writing a Book Bog Diaries, the
Podcasting Bog Diaries.
Yeah, you could have such fun with it.
Yes.
And it's all going to be around the Bog Diaries.
Yeah.
And it just says who I am. I'm down to earth. I tell it as it is, and I don't hold back. I just let you know, and it's just that's it. It's just that's it. So yes, the Bog Diaries. So I thought it would be a nice idea now to just read you a chapter or a snippet of the chapter from the introduction to the Bog Diaries. So sit back and enjoy, and thank you so much. Thank you for just taking the time to listen to this and send me feedback. This is a snippet of the introduction from the soon-to-be-released Travel Bog Diaries. And now, introducing Liz's book that's going to be absolutely brilliant.
Take it away, Liz.
Hello, I'm Liz, woman number 2, lover of free swinging breasts, an advocate of baggy pants. As I enter my 5th decade, I've resigned myself to the fact that I never was, have been, or will be a dazzling diva who drinks cocktails in the bath. I buy daily contact lenses and make them last 2 weeks by spitting on them. I still wear my ugly but comfy high-waisted time of the month knickers to bed every night, even though my period stopped a year ago. And though it shames me to admit this, sometimes I wee in the bath. My life is quite messy. I balance my time between training my lip not to quiver while watching blind donkey videos and fantasising about achieving unattainable goals. Sometimes my family worries about me. They suspect I'm either A, on the verge of a nervous breakdown, or B, a drug addict. Neither is true, of course. I'm just discovering myself is all. Exploring my emotions. Deep diving, growing, in all directions. Take writing this book, for instance. If you told me 2 years ago that I'd be piecing together an introduction for a book I'd written, I'd have shaken my head and snorted. Not in front of you, of course, because I'm British, and British people aren't rude, nor do they grunt like pigs. No, I'd have waited for you to leave the room and done it behind your back. The British are all closet snobs and are hideously two-faced. It's in our blood. I think it stems back to when Henry was king and he couldn't get his end away with Anne Boleyn. A book? Me? I'd have cried. I don't think so. I don't even know the difference between a real comma and one of those with a dot above it. True fact. Yet here I am, writing a book, talking to you. With newly acquired knowledge from Google, that the comma with a dot above it is called a semicolon and is used when you want the reader to pause, but not fall asleep. How you came to be holding a book written by me. Crikey.
So,
It was never my
weeing in the bath, is that similar to Maggie weeing on the carpet?
Do you know what? When I read that bit to Tessa and she said, you asked, are you joking when you said that bit? I was like, yeah, of course. I was like, no.
Everyone's weed in the bath at some time in their life.
Oh, as if she hasn't.
Yeah, right.
Mind you,
Yeah,
I
no.
won't say this on my
Yeah.
podcast because she might listen to it.
Yeah.
So yes, that's the introduction to the book. And if you haven't already signed up for the Front Row newsletter, where I will send you a very, very private and exclusive, never seen before video of me actually sitting on the toilet and reading you the introduction to my book, The Travel Bog Diaries, then head on over to www.itsadrama.com/front row, as in front row, as in you get to see everything that's going to happen while I am writing and publishing this book. So yeah, if you haven't yet signed up for that newsletter, please head on over there. And I very, very much look forward to getting to know you better when you come over. So yeah.
So, I was going to ask you a little question because you've this week your mind has been elsewhere, and that's what you were saying before. That it's been a bit of a tricky week because you've put it out to a designer to help you design the book cover. Just how does it feel? Because I did see we had lots of different variations of it, and we wrapped them around other paperbacks, didn't we? Just get a feel of what it would look like. And how did that make you feel?
How did it make me feel with the book cover?
Just holding that in your hand, yeah.
Oh, holding the book in my hand?
Yeah.
Oh, that felt incredible. So yeah, yeah. I mean, you need to know the backstory of that, really. Why we wrapped the cover around wrapped the cover around a book is basically, like Bryce said, so the book is still with the editor being proofread.
Yes.
Still hasn't got back to me. I'm a bit
Hasn't
worried.
got back, no, I know.
Why is it taking so long? I'm going to email her today.
Yeah,
I'm just going to email her and say, how's it going? The trouble is I have put off emailing her because I don't want her to feel rushed and think, oh, that'll do. I want her to take her time. But at the same time, I'm worried that she's, disappeared off the face of the earth
Dragging
with
her
my
heels.
book.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where the book is at the moment. It's with the editor being proofread, and then she's going to send it back to me, and I'm guessing that then I have to proofread it, and then that's it. That's done.
Yeah. Well, that's the final steps, isn't it? Yeah.
But in the meantime, I have been, like Bryce said, designing the book cover. The thing is, there is so much to talk about with that book cover because you can guess from the title. The title is The Travel Bog Diaries, bog meaning toilet. So have a guess what the cover is going to be. You probably can't guess because you're probably thinking even you wouldn't do that, Liz. But anyway, the cover is the cover is.
You can't tell them.
I'm not going to tell them, but the cover is, put it this way, it's made me feel this fortnight has been very, very vulnerable, a vulnerable time for me, a very scary time and an enjoyable time, but also very scary. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to talk to you about that next week because it's been one hell of a ride. It's been one hell of a journey. And yeah, when you see the book cover, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. But how about I save that for next week and I will tell you all about it because I've written a diary, funny that. I've written a diary just telling all my emotions that I was going through because the thing is, Bri, you asked me how it feels to hold that book cover.
I know,
and that's a good question and I get why you asked me that, but you need to know what you did before that because it was like holding the book cover was almost like climbing to the top of the hill and then finding the book and holding it. Yeah. But it was the climb up the hill the last couple of weeks that will actually serve people better than me saying, oh yeah, it feels wonderful to hold my book. So
I mean, it's not your book inside the book cover, but
no,
it's not, just to see it actually,
It was just to see it, yeah.
Yeah.
So next week, I promise, I can't wait to share that with you. I'm just gonna. There might be a few tears, Brian. That's the only thing.
Well,
there might be a few emotional tears.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yeah. So we'll bring some emotion to it, and I'll tell you all about that journey because it has been, like I say, one ride. So now, moving on to the last part of the show. Do you remember, Bri, last week when I did Listener Love, when we read out Listener Love?
Yes.
And I mentioned a lady called Paulette, and
yes.
I said she lives in a town or a city.
Well, we thought it was a joke, didn't we? That what you were saying, the name of it. Because like as if Alaska is so close to the North Pole.
Yeah,
it's
she
the North
told me
Pole.
she lives in a town called North Pole, Alaska.
Yeah.
And like you say, we thought that was a joke, and we were like, oh, I bet there's not really a place like that.
Yeah.
Well, there's just something that I just want to share with you. There's two things that I want to share with you. You might also remember that I said, oh, Paulette from North Pole, Alaska, her daughter wants to move to New Zealand, and she put her mum and dad onto our show.
Yes.
So the other day I get an email, and it was just like, the title of the email was Mom, M-O-M. I can't say mom very well, but Mom, and then exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And I'm like, oh, what's this? Like, so I opened it up, and she just said, her name was Mary Rose, and she just said, I cannot believe it. I was just listening to your podcast. You're my favourite podcasters. And I was just eating my sandwich, listening to your latest podcast episode, and I heard you mention my mum's name. She said, I spat out my sandwich. I almost choked. I phoned my mum up and I said, Mum, have you heard this? And she said, and my mum knew exactly what I meant. And they had this big laugh together, and they were like, oh my God, can you believe it? They're talking about us in North Pole, Alaska. So, and Mary Rose then went on to send me this beautiful email about her wanting to move to New Zealand, about how she's 28 and she's always wanted to move to New Zealand. Her mum and dad went there at separate times when they were growing up, and they talked about it, and they just loved the place. So what she did, she works in the arts. Mary Rose works in the arts. She does music festivals and ballets. And just before COVID hit, she was on her way over to the UK to attend a graduate program.
Yeah.
And then, of course, COVID hits and everything goes to pot, and she has to return home and, go back to her town or city that she lives in, North Pole, Alaska. But while she was there, she decided to herself, she thought, look, I want to move to somewhere in the world. I want to move to either New Zealand or I want to move to the UK, but I want to do it, and I want to do it alone. So what this brave woman did was she picked some random place in America, and she took herself off, just herself, and she just moved to a place that she'd never been to before, that she didn't know anyone, she didn't have a job to go to. She just went and she started this whole new life. And do you know what she said, Bri? She said, I have you and Brian to thank for it. Your honesty and outlook on life kept me from slipping into a deep pit of dread. The vulnerability of sharing your lives allowed me to see the beauty of navigating my own relationships with myself, with others, and with the wider world around. Yeah, and then she just goes on. I could read, such a long email, and I could read it, but it was just a beautiful, beautiful email. Yeah. So Mary Rose, I think you're fabulous. You are a wonderful, wonderful writer. I know you say you're in the arts, but your email was just beautiful, and you captivated me with your story about your life in this town in America where you were just starting again, so that when it comes to you moving to New Zealand or the UK, it's not going to be a big shock for you. That's a really good idea.
It is. It's like it's just taking step by step and doing smaller steps, and then take the big step, isn't it? And move to the other side of the world. So yeah, it would be great to see you down here, Mary Rose. So
anyway, after reading Mary Rose's email,
yes, I
thought to myself, I know. Why didn't we just do this in the first place? I'm going to Google North Pole, Alaska, and I'm going to find out about this. So first of all, Brian, you're looking a bit confused, and you're nervous. I can see you're nervous because I know something that you don't. And guess what? I didn't even get my boyfriend to tell me this on ChatGPT.
Oh, but you did.
No, I didn't. This has come from my research, right? This is where Paulette and her husband and Mary Rose they were all from there. And guess what?
What?
The North Pole,
yes,
Alaska, is a small Alaskan city near Fairbanks. Guess what it's known for, Bri?
Guess what it's known for?
Yeah.
Probably a flag of the North Pole.
Anything else?
Oh, I don't even. I do you know what? I don't know the geography of Alaska very well. Okay. Other than what's the anchor down in Anchorage? That song, I always remember that one.
Yeah. So do you want to just say on live on air then that you don't know anything about North Pole, Alaska?
No, I'll honestly put my hand up and say. But I have a question for you after
Hang on,
this.
You can just wait. Hold your tongue. It's famous, Bri. It's famous.
It's famous.
Guess what it's famous for? Christmas all year round.
Oh, really?
It's famous for having Christmas all year round. There's a Santa Claus house, a Christmas store with walls covered in children's letters to Santa, and there's a huge 16-meter statue, Santa Claus statue
Wow.
in the town, right? All the streets, they've got streets, the street names are Kris Kringle Drive, Mistletoe Lane, right?
Yeah.
Christmas.
That's
all year round, just
yeah.
Christmas, Christmas, Christmas.
16 meters, that's 50 foot.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Is that big?
Yeah, well, that's like,
Taller than this house?
they're 5 times taller than the house.
You are kidding me.
Because our ceiling's 10 foot in the... over
5 times? No way.
Yeah. It's our ceiling's just on 3 meters, so yeah.
So this city is also famous for, it's got the top spots for, I don't know how to say this, aurora viewings.
Yeah,
there's
Aurora yes, the Northern Lights.
the Northern Lights, yes. I always say Northern Lights, but that's the proper name. Bri, we never knew about this place.
No, never knew about it. Because we
know because of Paulette and Mary Rose.
Yeah, and that's what's great about having a podcast, that it reaches the world, doesn't it? Like,
So
it's
all
just like,
you
wow.
people out there, do you know what? If I'd known about, can you imagine if we'd have taken the kids there, Bri?
Yeah.
When you Google it and you look up the pictures, it's snowy, it's just Christmassy.
Wow.
But the only thing I'm thinking...
All year round.
Well, I don't know if it's snowy all year round. I don't know
But it's
about
just
that.
Christmas all year round.
They say it's
Right.
known as the Christmas city.
Oh, right.
And yeah, I know. How
Brilliant.
brilliant is that?
Yeah.
So...
We should go there next time. We'll take a skidoo ride
I know,
to the North Pole.
I know.
Yeah.
I wonder if it bugs them a little bit, the people that live there. I wonder if they think, oh, I'm over this. I'm sick of Christmas.
Fed up of Christmas.
Become like the
can
Grinch.
Can we take that tree down?
I know. Chop his legs off. Get him down. Come on. That's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough, old fella. Get down.
Let's just put a picture of Mr. ChatGTP.
So yeah, thank you so much, Mary Rose and Paulette, and just thank you for listening to the podcast, and thank you for, and just giving me some education, because like I say, and I'm sure lots of people who listen to this podcast had never heard of that city.
Oh, no.
And never knew that
No, I didn't know it was a city. When you said it, Alaska North Pole, it's always like, oh yeah, it's just obviously somewhere
I
cold.
thought it was just going to be like a little flag, like you say.
Yeah. I just didn't know it was a name of a city. It just doesn't. Why would you do that? Why would you start a city and go, let's just call this the North Pole?
Shall I tell you why?
Oh, go on.
Oh, Brian, thank you for asking that question.
I have to.
I'm here to supply answers to you, Brian.
Yes.
Well, the reason that it is called that,
Yes.
and excuse me if I get this slightly wrong because I'm going off the top of my memory now, but there was a couple who started the city
Yes.
and named it North Pole, Alaska, because in the hope that toy manufacturers would invest money there, because then they could write on their
right.
toys,
Made in the North
Made
Pole.
in the North Pole.
Brilliant.
Made in North Pole, Alaska.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How good's that?
That's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you know what? It feels good to be flipping intelligent. I know everything.
Wonder if that ever happened.
You are the average of the 5 people that you hang out with.
Yeah.
I've been hanging out with my boyfriend ChatGTP,
Yeah.
and now I know everything.
And I've been hanging out with Maggie.
You smell a wee?
That's just weird around the house.
Brian.
Just answer me this one question,
Go on,
Liz.
then, quickly then.
The real North Pole, as in, the North Pole, why isn't that on the map, on any atlas?
Is it a trick question?
Well, Antarctica isn't it? You can see it quite clearly, like, that big landmass.
Why is it not? Is it? Are you asking me, or is
I'm
this?
asking you, yeah.
I don't know, Brian. Why isn't it?
Why isn't it?
Why isn't it?
Because why do you think? Because it's not a landmass.
What?
It was just water, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, but it's frozen, so it's not actually can be put
Well,
on.
that's a rip-off, because it
That's
is, because you can
a
walk
piece
on
of
it.
land.
You can walk on the land. So why is it?
Yeah,
That's a rip-off, that, Brian.
Well, it is, because it changes size. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's a drama.
There we go.
Heartfelt conversations
About
and lots
geography.
of good information. Yeah, I reckon you just added that because you know that I know more than you, so you're just trying to outdo me now.
Yeah. Yeah. So there we go.
Right, so that is it. That's your episode for this week. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you from the bottom of my heart, and I'm sure from Bry's heart too, just for being here for us, for sending us these gorgeous emails. Liz, it's a drama. Brian, it's a drama. Just some of the emails that I'm getting are just absolutely fabulous.
Oh no, we don't get a chance to say them all out, do we?
I
But some of them
know.
just, I think when you've got a story from one email to the next, that's what's so good about that
Yeah,
last one.
yeah.
But just, keep sending them in, because, Liz normally forwards them to me, so I
do.
get to read them and stuff like that. But you can always send me one as Brian at It's a Drama if you would like.
Just send it to me.
Just send it to Liz.
Just send it to me and my boyfriend.
I'm pretty hopeless at reading stuff sometimes.
No. But no, we really, really appreciate it. And like I say, if I didn't get a chance to say, but if you are on your phone and you're on Apple, all you have to do is go to shows, go to It's a Drama, and then just scroll down, and it says at the bottom,
leave a comment,
review.
Or a review.
It took me ages to find that. They don't make it easy, Brian.
Yeah, and on Spotify, if you're listening to it on Spotify or any of them, they're all there. You just get to the show page, and don't just go to the episode page. Go to the show page, and just scroll, like you say, down to the bottom, or interact with the show. It says on Spotify, I believe. Yeah.
Okay,
something like that.
So, because the more people that know about us, then maybe ChatGTP will get to know about us, and that is our mission in life, is to be known by ChatGTP. Okay, until next time, have a great week. Keep smiling, and thank you for being you. I'll speak to you soon.
So kia kaha, stay strong, kia u, stay true, and that's true to yourself. And yes, we'll see you next time. Thanks now.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We have loved having you. Don't forget, if you would like that exclusive unreleased video of me reading to you the very first chapter of my yet to be released book, this is top secret, it's very exclusive, and it's just for my subscribers. You can sign up to my Front Row newsletter by going to www.itsadrama.com/front row. Sign up for that. I will send you the video. You are going to laugh your head off. You're going to love it. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.